Vice President, Head of Research and Analyst at Red Cloud Securities in Toronto. Very pleased to be hosting our Summer Silver Conference today. Our next presenter is going to be Metallic Minerals, which is a company we've been following for some time now. We're very excited about. And with us from Metallic Minerals is Greg Johnson, who's Chairman and CEO. So without further ado, Greg, I'll leave it to you now to tell us the story.
Great. Thanks a lot, Jacob. Glad to be here. First virtual conference with Red Cloud. Thank you very much. So we're going to be talking today about Metallic Minerals and specifically about the high-grade silver-focused exploration that we're doing at both KENO Hill and the historic La Plata mining districts. So just a bit of background. Metallic Minerals is part of a group of companies called Metallic Group. We have three companies. Metallic Minerals is the silver and gold focused company. We've also got Group 10 Metals, who's the platinum and battery metal focused company, and Granite Creek, which is copper and gold. We're solely focused in the Americas, really North America. Myself, my background, I started out with Placer Dome early in my career, an exploration geologist. Went on to co-found Nova Gold with Rick Van Nieuwenhuizen. And then in 2016, sensing that we had a new bull market ahead of us at some point, a number of us, former Nova Gold alumni and others came together to say, how do we position ourselves well for this next coming bull market? The first opportunity really was in the KENO Hill Silver District with Metallic Minerals. But what we've seen kind of unfold is a strategy towards an approach to business that's common to all three companies. The thing that I think sets the group apart, we've gone after brownfields districts where there already is existing high-grade production. And in doing so, we've dramatically reduced the risk that we will be able to find more of economic mineralization. And being a brownfields district, it also means that the infrastructure is already in place. We've not just gone after things that are brownfields, we've gone after these districts that were controlled by juniors, not majors, which means there was a district scale land position available to be snapped together. And then we've applied a geologic filter, lastly, to say, we think there's an opportunity to apply a new geologic model or exploration approach that would allow for a tier one or a world-class discovery in these historic districts. Looking specifically at the Metallic Group and Metallic Minerals today, commonalities with the approach the team took at Nova Gold were acquisitions at the bottom of the metal price cycle, so allowing us to go after these key strategic land positions early on. And then once you've identified those, applying that exploration model to be able to develop resources, expand those resources, de-risk them, and create value even as a pre-production company. So 2016, we acquired the other half of the KENO Hill Silver District. What's our model here? We see the potential that this district geologically is very similar to the Coeur d'Alene district, which is a massive sulfide, structurally controlled deposit in metasedimentary rocks. And for those of you who are less familiar with Coeur d'Alene, over 2 billion ounces of production. They're mining it up to 3 kilometers depth. So 140 years of mining with 3 larger companies. In contrast, KENO Hill, discovered after the turn of the century, has really been, because of remoteness in the past and other issues, hasn't seen that exploration. But we see this as a district that has potential to be a billion-ounce district. Our target that we're looking for are discoveries like the recent Birmingham discovery at 50 million ounces. It's one of the highest grade undeveloped silver resources in the world. And we think there's more Birmingham-style deposits to be found in the district. That's really our focus. The most recent acquisition in Metallic was the La Plata acquisition in 2019. And this is kind of a hybrid district. It has a high-grade historic producing silver and gold district that surrounds a porphyry system in the center. So very similar to KENO Hill in many ways in terms of the high-grade production, but with a precious metals rich porphyry system in the center that's very similar to the Galore Creek deposit that our team was part of the expansion and development of. So it's a great fit for our team specifically. Looking at Metallic, we focused the team's efforts in the KENO Hill Silver District. Why KENO Hill? Over 200 million ounces of high-grade production, 100 million ounces in all categories of new resources discovered just in the last 6 years. And in particular, I draw your attention to that Birmingham and Flame and Moth discovery. which, as I indicated, is probably one of the best undeveloped deposits of its kind. We've consolidated 166 square kilometer land position, really the other half of the KENO district. Alexco has about a 200 square kilometer land position. So very much you'll see a unitized district and very much a unitized approach to exploration, building on what's been successful in the past to build those resources. We started out, the first 2 years were acquisitions, starting with a core package of ground that had already been assembled of about 60 square kilometers. Adding on to that was staking that was new staking, and then being able to acquire positions held by either other juniors or private parties to accumulate the rest. Went through a data compilation process, and then prioritizing among 40 different targets. We effectively said these 6 look like they could go to resources very quickly, so we focused on 6 targets that are right on the known productive trends, in some cases underneath historic producing mines, and have rapidly moved 3 of those to a mineral inventory stage. And then going into the greenfields part of this district, same geologic setting, same structurals, doing the first baseline data, collecting soils, doing airborne geophysics, and all the tools that we use in a modern exploration approach. We've identified 12 targets that have never been drill tested and have the same characteristics, other than being much larger than anything we've seen in the district before, to other styles in the KENO district. And as I mentioned, really just another note on why the significance of brownfields. When you're comparing a project that's in a greenfields location where you have to bring all the infrastructure, means your hurdle rate for what you need for success is much, much higher. So by focusing in these districts where we already have existing mines, one, we already know they make ore grade deposits, so that's a huge check in terms of probability of finding more. And 2, with that infrastructure in place, it means you have a number of options for exit. You find something modest in size, you pass over the fence to the operating mine next door for incremental ore. Find something bigger, it's probably a consolidation of the district. Find something bigger still, it probably attracts a major to the district, recognizing the potential for a world-class district in a first world jurisdiction with this kind of exploration potential. All right, so KENO Hill, upper right-hand corner, this is the western entrance to the district. That's the Silver Trail Highway. On the right of the photo here is our Silver Queen project, where you can see the electric substation. On the other side of the highway is Alexco's Silver Queen deposit. So a lot of guys talk about being on trend or what have you, but rarely are they across the street. In this case, it's very much an inner-fingered land position between the active operations at Alexco and our ground, which is on trend with a number of the major known producers, as well as in these less explored areas. We've had a 2-pronged approach to exploration in the district, going after these targets that are on these known productive trends and oftentimes had high-grade historic production right at surface in the 20s and 30s. And secondly, these greenfields areas of the district where we saw the same potential. I think it was this combination of this 2-pronged approach that attracted Eric Sprott to take his strategic investment last fall, because he really saw the potential in the district. It gave him greater exposure to KENO Hill, and he saw the upside in these huge multi-kilometer scale targets, particularly on the eastern part of the district. This year is going to be the largest exploration program for metallic minerals in its history. We'll be focused very much on core drilling on the advanced stage targets. We're getting the first reverse circulation drill holes into those early stage targets to see what the geology subsurface looks like. So it's going to be an exciting time for the company. In addition, the La Plata asset down in southwestern US, this is an earlier stage asset, just came into the portfolio last fall, but we're excited about it. It has a number of similarities with KENO Hill. It has this existing historic resource that was developed by Rio Tinto and Phelps Dodge. So this is an asset that could quickly be moved with additional exploration work to a modern 43-101 resource. And we see basically a kilometric scale system similar to a Galore Creek and KENO type district with both high grade and bulk tonnage potential. Lastly, I'm just going to mention the alluvial portfolio. Very similar to the early days at NovaGold. We put this portfolio into metallic minerals. It's a large unmined land package in the Klondike that potentially gives us short-term or nearer-term cash flow and a 10 to 15% royalty on gold production. So a nice sustainability tool to have in our portfolio. We've talked a bit about the background on the team. I think one of the things I would just emphasize here, is we've worked much of our career in this part of North America, and particularly in the Yukon, where we have deep roots. And so we've got great relationships with the First Nations and with the Yukon government. That allows us to operate very effectively here. For those who are less familiar with the Yukon, this is a map here on the right-hand side. So the KENO Hill District here, center top, is right in the center of the Yukon. Highway continuing past the hydro facility at Mayo on down to Whitehorse and the deep sea port here at Skagway. So all the infrastructure you need to build a mine is already here. There are remote parts of the Yukon, but we're working in a completely road accessible part of this region. Zooming down just a bit to look here at the district holdings. This is Alexco in the green. You were looking down the highway here in that previous photo. The mill sits in the center of the district. Our holdings on the east, to the south, down dip, and in some places internal. We also have the McKay project, which is to the north, which is also a high-grade historic producer. Victoria Gold's new open pit mine is across the valley. You've got ATAC also here out to the east. So it's a very active district. This is the mill that was built in 2010 by Alexco. This has been recently updated and refurbished. They put out a new feasibility update, and they just announced receiving the final permit on Birmingham to allow that new deposit to go into production. Couple of highlights here: 800 grams per ton silver grade. This is highest in the industry. 4 to 5 million ounces a year at 400 tons a day is a top 15 silver producer, and an all-in cost of less than $11 an ounce. So this is an asset that has room to expand with that modest size throughput, and could potentially be a top 10 silver producer and is top in grade. CapEx, just $23 million to build our target, which is basically a Birmingham type deposit. So very, very modest CapEx because of the compact footprint of these deposits. That results in these outsized IRRs. Where the district's a bit shy right now is on mine life with 8 years of reserves. I'd like to see 15 or 20, but with our own work and with the work that Alexco has done so successfully over the last several years, we think we can grow that significantly. If we look at reserve grade in the industry, 300 grams is the average. There's really 6 mines that stand out, and I point out that KENO Hill is the top for silver grade and top for equivalent grade, and it's one of the few that's still controlled by juniors and is in a low political risk profile. Looking here at what does a KENO style high grade vein look like? This is underground at the Bell KENO mine. You can see the contacts here with the quartzite, which are the brittle host rocks, and where these productive structures rip through, that's where you get the tonnage potential. So you can see the metal here. This is high silver galena. The browns are sphalerite. So this mine will produce high quality lead concentrate that the silver goes to, and a zinc concentrate. Excellent metallurgy, great flotation characteristics. Okay, looking at a geologic map of the district. Effectively, you've got a 35-kilometer district. That's the size of Toronto, to put it in context. It's a big area. Westernmost producer was Silver King. Easternmost producer was Cobalt Hill. KENO Hill mine sits in the center of the district. You have a series of structures to the east and west that set up a strain field during the time of deposition. That caused these regularly spaced fracture zones to develop. When we look at the historic producers, they fall right along those major structures in the brittle host rocks, being the light purple quartzite or the greenstones. The new discoveries in the district shown in yellow, as you can see, are right along those known productive trends. And the red circles represent the historic mines on Metallic's property. So right along those same productive trends, as well as out here on the east, these red circles represent these multi-kilometer scale new targets that have been recently identified that will be tested for the first time in 2020. Land positions, just again, basically we've consolidated the east, the south, down dip, and in some places internal. Our advanced stage targets are shown in the black, where we have drilling, underground sampling, or trenching that tells us we have KENO style ore grades over minable widths. We're now building on mineral inventories in those areas, and these red earlier stage targets are basically going to see the first drill holes in this year. So I'm just going to touch briefly on the eastern targets. So this was one of the exciting developments, doing follow-up work here on the eastern half of the district, work done in the 1950s and 60s by Alexco's predecessor, United KENO Hill. We came in here and started doing grassroots, early stage work, soil sampling. Here's 2 kilometers for scale. The bright pink is over 90 grams per ton silver equivalent. So These are equivalent to grades that are being mined in Mexico and Nevada. We're seeing those in our soils. That's 5 kilometers long by 2 kilometers wide, and we've got 10 other targets like that. So quite exciting to see this scale of target developed in this caliber of district. What we know for certain here is that we have rubble crop that shows we've got KENO style veins, but as being the new guys in the district, one of the first things we did coming in here was take a look at all of the geophysics, all of the various data layers. And what was quite exciting from that work was the recognition that we see not only these major geochemical footprints at surface, but we're seeing a significant magnetic signature, which is characteristic of an underlying intrusion. When you start to see that in this kind of district, it makes you start to think about deposits like Cripple Creek and Penasquito, where the juice is directly proximal to the intrusions above them. So these areas in the KENO East, which are at the same scale as the section here from Penasquito, demonstrate that we have these multi-kilometer signatures, which grades are similar to ore at Penasquito in the soils. We've got not only that, but we've got these structures, we've got porphyry dikes. So all of these pieces start to fit together to say, yes, we probably have something similar to a classic KENO style deposit, but we may have something with bulk tonnage potential as well. So it's going to be an exciting year for us to be testing these targets this year. In addition, if we take a look at our Colorado project here at La Plata, another really renowned district with over 500 million ounces of silver production, 50 million ounces of gold. More recently, the large deposits developed at Cripple Creek by Newmont, by Freeport to the north with their porphyry system. So this is becoming really a world-class metallogenic province. Historically well known for these high-grade vein districts similar to KENO, Leadville, Bonanza, Creed, Telluride. This is an area that really, warrants new effort and look. So this is a cross-section through La Plata. What you're seeing on the center of the district is this alkalic porphyry system, high precious metals content that was drilled by Rio Tinto and Phelps Dodge in the 50s and 60s. Outboard from there are the areas of the high-grade historic production where there were 90 different mines and prospects being developed. Our efforts here have really been to come in, do that early stage work. It's the first soil sampling, the first modern airborne geophysics, a keen understanding of how these porphyry systems work. So we're going to be very rapidly advancing this. This is a high bang for the buck type project. And effectively, we are pretty excited to have this one in our portfolio. So timeline here quickly. First couple of years of the company were all about acquisitions, that data compilation effort. Then last year in 2018, the first drilling, trenching, and starting to advance the project, acquisition of La Plata, and now this year moving into a drill-focused program, expansion of the known areas, and testing for the first time of those new discoveries. Lots of news that's going to be flowing here over the next couple of months into the end of the year from KENO, from La Plata, and with active exploration programs. Share capital structure, 99 million shares outstanding, no debt, just around $3 million. We just announced a financing with Red Cloud, $8 million bought deal that'll be closing middle of the month. And these proceeds will be going towards expansion of the drill program at the advanced stage targets and early stage targets. So Jacob, I know we've gone a little bit long on the presentation, but maybe you've got a couple of questions that we can take on.
Sure, we've just got about a minute or so. You said deal closing middle of the month, assuming that's a couple of weeks, meaning in mid-August. And when would you get your drills started up, do you figure?
First drill is already mobilized to KENO East, so we're drilling the first reverse circulation holes on those new targets. We'll be mobilizing the core drill middle of August on the advanced stage targets. And then potentially right now we're tracking down another drill to see if we can expand that program and extend the length of the season. Okay, so I'm guessing you probably wouldn't have news on those drill results until the deal's closed? Well, we'll have some additional releases on refinement of the targets. First drill results I would expect in September, and then to continue through the fall, and then culminating potentially in an initial resource for the company in 2020. Excellent. When do you figure your camp would have to shut down for the year? Well, electrical works year-round in this district. The two advanced stage targets we want to focus on at Formo and Silver Queen are right on the highway, so we can really drill on those year-round. And we're well set up in terms of oh, sorry. In terms of being able to operate from KENO City. So we've got infrastructure, we've got everything we need for our teams there.
Okay, excellent, Greg. Thanks very much. We look forward to seeing news from the company in the coming weeks.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.